you think of reds, typically Cabernet Franc, as I think you referenced earlier, would typically be
A warmer variety.
and a blending grape used in a Meritage or Bordeaux type of blend.
That's what they do with it in Bordeaux and in most of the world, but in certain regions and with certain soil types, it can shine.
And we're seeing that today with more and more standalone Cabernet Franc.
Right. And people playing around with these, instead of doing Meritage and stuff like that. We can't grow Cabernet Sauvignon here because it's not quite warm enough.
But it is a maritime climate, which we should point out for the viewers.
Which just across the Long Island Sound in Long Island, they're growing quite a bit of Cabernet and Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. That may change here too someday, but right now Cabernet Franc seems to be the grape. And even on Long Island, they're starting to find the Cabernet Franc is the more desirable red for that climate because it just produces a juicier, better fruit, better tannin structure in the wine. It seems to be the grape for this region. For years they thought Merlot was going to be the big grape on Long Island, but there's a lot more guys putting Cabernet Franc in now. So,
and specifically for the Cabernet Franc, you age the wine a minimum of 2 years in French oak, where you source the barrels from a tunnel array, or what we call in America a cooperage, and you use malolactic fermentation.
Correct.
And the key point is, even though the East Coast climate is for French Vitis vinifera is probably a little more harsh than say on the West Coast, you don't chapitalize or acidify your wine. You're strictly pure in that respect.
We'd rather run a wine with a little lower alcohol than bump it up, and acid's never a problem. Never have to acidify. So we generally pick Cabernet Franc at between 20 and 21 bricks, sometimes 21.5.
And for those in the audience who don't understand, bricks refers to a bricks meter, which is a measurement to measure the sugar in the grape before it's harvested.
Right, so the sugar levels are there to give us a good 12% alcohol. And the pHs are usually in the 3.35 to 3.5 range, so it's a very sound acid and pH range. So.
Now the winery also produces a Riesling. But you don't grow the Riesling here.
No, we purchase those.
And you purchase those grapes. Is there a reason, a business reason, why or do you have a plan in the future? This is a two-part question here, to eventually grow Riesling, perhaps?
I don't think we have any plan to grow Riesling now. If we expanded the vineyard, we'd be in areas that we're already growing. The Riesling is, we're basically purchasing it because it's being grown by a neighbor of ours. It's in our same viticultural region.
Here in Connecticut?
In Massachusetts.
Oh, in Massachusetts, okay.
Our viticultural region is kind of unique. It crosses 3 state lines.
Oh, nice.
It's called Southeastern New England. It goes from the edge of Cape Cod to New Haven. So it goes from Connecticut all through Rhode Island, just along the shore. It only goes like 30 miles inland. But it's just a strip of land that they've found was unique to all of our growing regions, from the edge of Cape Cod down to New Haven and inland maybe 30 to 40 miles. So.
Now, you mentioned earlier today when we were appraising the winery equipment, and I found this fascinating. I'd like you to talk about this for a second. You mentioned, again, regarding French Vitis vinifera, which is, for those who don't know, Vitis lambrusca is the native grapes that were originally here in the United States, and Vitis vinifera are French clones. And you were stating earlier that to have Vitis vinifera or French clones grown in New England is incredibly rare. Tell me why that's so.
It's difficult, and there's just not that many acres devoted to it yet at this time. It's just there's a lot on Long Island because there's a wide open farming area where it's just flat level land and it's easy to grow everything out there. In Connecticut or in most parts of New England, the places, we don't have a uniform like Napa Valley or Sonoma. There's no one uniform place where the landscape is consistently correct for growing things. So what we have is these isolated little hilltops that creep up here and there along the coast. and they're more like little outposts. So instead of having wine regions, we have these little outposts of great areas to grow grapes, you know, but they're just pockets because there's little valleys in between them and stuff like that.